So I guess I got my start in endurance sports competitively back in high school, or even earlier than that if you include some recreational swim team. And in high school I was really happy and well adjusted and things were going really well. If you flash forward to university, I really had this idea that university would be like an intellectual playground and I'd run on the cross-country team and get amazing marks and it would all be perfect and have lots of friends and it would be great. But it wasn't quite how it worked out. It was really stressful for me. I was studying, I started in engineering at Queen's University and eventually transferred to physics. And I was, I guess, a perfectionist and was totally obsessive over my marks and studying. So I poured myself into that with just this compulsive intensity. And as the anxiety built up, training was the way I self-medicated to keep that under control. And endorphins and exhaustion, it's this really potent cocktail that allowed me to keep that anxiety in check. But when I was self-coaching, I was just making all sorts of mistakes, and my training load, on top of all these other stresses in my life, was just totally inappropriate. So I graduated university with the great marks I was after, sure, but not much else. My health was really in shambles, my endocrine system was looking pretty awful, testosterone levels were terrible, I had chronic insomnia, I was almost 20 pounds lighter than I am right now, and it's been a long road to get my act back together after that. So that was 2012 that I graduated from Queen's in physics, and 2 years ago I started working with my coach, and in fact I'm still seeing progress, both in how I feel, and the evidence is also plainly written in the blood tests that I get regularly, seeing those testosterone levels slowly coming back up, seeing body composition improving, sleep schedules normalizing. So that's been really responsible. The coaching and that progress with my health, that's what's driven my trajectory in professional triathlon over the last few years, first and foremost. My very beginning in endurance sports was actually cross-country skiing, just shuffling along on skis pretty much as soon as I could walk. And so I kept that up over the years. It was a great family activity. We also mixed in some downhill skiing as a family. And I even bought equipment to race one year. But just the nature of winter in southern Ontario, the way it's heading now, it's very fickle. You can have winters that pretty much don't show up. And so the year that I bought equipment to race, it was one such winter that just didn't materialize. So I returned the skis in February unused, which was really sad. So I think that if I lived in a northern climate, cross-country ski racing, that could have probably been my calling. But I'm not disappointed to be a triathlete. It's kind of funny to reconnect with my high school friends a couple times a year, because I was the nerd in high school. I mean, I was on school teams and stuff, but I was the guy who everyone thought would be getting a physics PhD. And that was my grand plan as well. Right about now, I thought I'd be getting my physics PhD. And so the idea that I'm the one earning a living now as a professional triathlete, I think that kind of perplexes some people, but they've been really encouraging and they all think it's awesome. A lot of my high school friends follow my social media accounts, and it's pretty neat, I guess. Well, I've learned that a blog can't be everything to everyone. I do try and have pretty broad appeal, but there are certainly articles that are targeted for a certain demographic of my readership and articles for others. So I try and keep it a mix, but I don't take each article and try and appeal to the masses with it. So it's a mix of, if you'll see race reports there, I try and deviate from typically what you see in pro triathlete blogs. It's like a glorified training log where they're putting up their feel-good training and you only hear about their good sessions and their good races and when things are going well. I really haven't shied away from sharing some of the crappy things that I touched on before, like insomnia, like mental health issues, like depression and anxiety that I faced during university, and my issues with testosterone and endocrine system dysfunction. Those are all things I've talked about, and the response has been really tremendous. I continue to see comments coming in and people emailing me with similar issues, so that's been a really positive thing. I've also, I like doing the odd tongue-in-cheek posts sometimes. Two of my most popular posts have been my budget posts over the last couple of years. So my rookie pro triathlon season and my second year season, people love seeing my finances and just the kind of shoestring budget that I've been able to scrape together to make this happen as a pro triathlete, and also the progress I made from my first to my second year, and hopefully my third year I'll see growth in income as well. One important thing to point out is that they're very emotionally supportive and they totally believe in what I'm doing, but they don't financially support me. Other than giving me this good deal on renting this place, which is a good financial arrangement for all of us, I do pay my fair share, they haven't supported me financially since I moved out for university. And I think that's important. There are a lot of pro triathletes whose career is propped up by a significant other or by family members. And I mean, are you really a professional triathlete if you're leaning heavily, if your financial burden on those around you? I don't know. So I'm proud of the fact that I've been able to support myself. And for those that have read my budget posts on my blog, yeah, my finances have been pretty meager. My first year as a pro triathlete, I think I pulled in $11,000 or $12,000. The next year I did a fair bit better, but it's still, to make ends meet, you do have to be very conscientious with your budget. That involves things like sharing hotel rooms with other professional athletes, finding homestays when possible, not renting cars. I'm grateful to have sponsors that help me out with all my airfare when I travel. And being careful with equipment costs. I buy and sell a lot of used equipment, which keeps costs low, among other things. And my entertainment budget is almost nil. I eat out a few times a month, and other than that, I don't spend a lot of money. I was very, very reluctant to hand over the reins to someone else. I am and was especially a bit of a control freak, so the idea of giving up that control to someone else over my day-to-day life, that was a little bit scary. So we did kind of court for a long time, I guess, and exchanged emails. I was down in Texas, so I interviewed him in person, and I was really impressed with his analytical, data-driven approach. There's coaches that push the idea that coaching is an art, and there's coaches that push the idea that it's a science, and he clearly melds the two really beautifully. I mean, a good coach, it's quite a unique relationship. A good coach there's aspects of a father-son relationship. You're like brothers sometimes. Can also be kind of a drill sergeant, and he's also a business partner and a psychologist. He's all of these things to me, and it's worked out really well. Swimming's been really humbling. I've jumped through a lot of hoops to convince myself I've made progress over the last couple of years, but I recently did an analysis with my coach David, and we looked at percentile time back from the lead swimmer, which is the metric I really care about. So who was the fastest swimmer out of the water? What percent time difference was I behind them? And that showed that I have good swims and bad swims, but really that hasn't changed too much over the past year. I average around 7% off the fastest swimmer, which often translates to 60 seconds on a great day, 2+ minutes on a bad day. So that's definitely something I need to address. I mean, I can make up for that by riding really well, but it takes a lot of energy to ride your way up into that front pack, which I've had to do in all my good races over the past couple of years. I've been putting a lot of work into that. I'm swimming with a new group of ITU triathletes in Guelph, and that's been, speaking of humbling, that's wow. I mean, the women there are my real competition. The guys are in a whole other league, but swimming with them a few times a week, I feel like I'm finally making progress again. So I'm excited to see how that translates to racing this year. So a couple of years ago, I did do the whole diet monitoring thing and worked with a performance nutritionist who consults some Canadian Olympians, so very high level. And it was informative. There weren't any huge revelations. I guess what it helped me appreciate wearing an activity monitor and tracking my calories in and out all day is that you really have to eat a lot to keep on top of things. And often when I feel like I'm tired or I feel like I'm getting overtrained, which is a term you hear thrown around a lot, it's not the case. I've just fallen behind on calories and I'm just glycogen depleted. So if I take an easy day and slam a few thousand calories, miraculously I'm fine again the next day. And look at that, it wasn't overtraining. I'm pretty strict in my sleep. This is a very unforgiving career when it comes to sleep. I don't have much sleep plasticity, and I really can't afford a late night. I always pay for it really hard the next day and the day after that. So ideally I'm in bed, lights out by 10. I'm actually lying in bed by 9:30 or so, reading and really winding down. Sleep hygiene is something I've become a lot better about. So ideally after 7:30 or so in the evening, it's no computers, no screen time, nothing remotely stressful, and I'm winding down. And so hopefully I sleep by 10, and I'll often wake up 5:30 to 6 is a good range. One of the things that I dealt with when I had insomnia was that I became a really good napper. So that's one silver lining of that, is that I can nap pretty much anywhere, anytime when I'm traveling, and so I nap 365 times a year. There are only a few days that I don't nap, and that's just when I'm racing or when it's a really god-awful busy day or something. But I make up for that by napping 2 times a day other days when I'm really struggling with my training load. So every day I'll nap 15 minutes to 2 hours. I'd say on average 30 to 45 minutes. And I think there's actually a word for that sleep schedule where you have segmented sleep like that. But that nap isn't really like a bonus nap. It's not optional. I need that nap. If I don't get that nap, it's ugly. I definitely regress and don't do well in my afternoon training sessions. It's like a fresh start. Well, I guess a result-based goal is that I want to see podiums at the regional championships, South American and North American. The back half of the season, we'll see. There are a lot of really promising options to focus on there, lots of big races to consider. So we'll see the first half goes. The big 2-year plan is to have a really strong performance at the 2017 World Championships when it's back in the US in Chattanooga. In terms of discipline-based goals, I really want to see improvement in my swim. I want to be consistently making front swim packs this season. That's critical. My bike, with the new Ventum 1 that I'm on, I know that I've picked up at least 5 aerodynamic watts compared to the bike I was on last year. I know that I've added about 5 watts of fitness, so if I can consistently average 10 watts more than last year, which is just a few percent, that will translate into hopefully more course record bike splits. So that's what I'm chasing there. And with my running, I'm just looking for greater consistency, I guess. I need to be running, the reality is the world-class guys are running 109 to 111, so even with a really strong bike split like mine, I still need to be running sub 115s consistently to be competitive at the world-class level.